Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode. Nice to have you all with us. Today, I am blessed with having a dear guest called Larnie on the show today, and we're going to explore, her love and light and her offerings and what she's here to bring to the world. So, welcome, Larnie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's such a privilege to be here and talk to you today.
Yeah, it's nice. This is our first meeting. So I feel it's always nice to kind of share a journey and how we came together. So I saw you on Facebook, and I think I became a member of your group
Hmm.
um, a year ago, maybe, or something like that. I think it was, and resonate with what you're sharing. So I felt it would be nice for you to come on and shine your light with us all.
Thank you. That's so cool.
What
Hmm.
do you want to share a bit of what it is that you do and how you work?
Um, I do so many different things. When you get to a certain stage of grey hair, um, you've accumulated quite a lot of life experiences, so there are lots. Um, Mainly what I do is I work with crystal singing bowls. If you can see some in the back there. Um, and I work with the sound frequencies, and I work with channeled vocal codes in the form of light language. And that really just sort of unfolds depending on what is required. Whether I've got a client in my room or on the end of a screen, it just comes through. And depending on what is needed. Sometimes the codes come when there's nobody here, and it's just, there'll be something that is arising in the collective that needs some support or needs some love sent to it, and I work with those codes at those times as well.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And do you find is that kind of what we may say is random? I don't think anything's actually random, but I do like the word random.
Yeah, it's I'll be going along about my day, and I'll get it feels to me almost like they tap my shoulder, and
Mm,
they just give me a hey, and they'll give me a word, and it's like, okay, I'm working with that now, and I go off and I'll find a bowl to work with, and I'll send it some love codes, and yeah, so
and is it the area that you're in, or do you feel it could be just anywhere on the planet?
can be anywhere. It might be, a thread of several people that I'm seeing online are experiencing particular difficulty, or and it's like there is a thread there, and I follow that thread, and so I'll send some healing into that. And I work with the grid lines, so in the earth. Um, so we quite often do some grid work as well, and
Mm.
work with the energies in the earth, sending our mother some healing. And yeah, so it can look like all sorts of things.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. It's just being open, eh?
Yeah.
And allowing. And when you say they, who's they? I mean, I know
Oh,
these.
I work with a collective of grandmothers, and so I was given the appellation Goldenfeather many years ago by a mentor, and I had no idea at that time what it meant. But through the work that I've done on myself, I understood that was coming through my ancestral lineage. And so the vocal codes that I use are channeled through that ancestral lineage. And then in the last year, what I've discovered is that there are a whole group of grandmothers in the other realms who are supporting the work that I do. So three of these grandmothers are directly within my lineage, my blood lineage. And then there are three who are from other indigenous lineages from around the globe. And then there are three who are galactic grandmothers. And yeah, so they come and tell me when I need to be. Yeah, you need to be jumping into that right there. And it's like, oh no, not another one. Okay, I'll do the job. I've discovered over the years is, yep, you just need to get on and do what you're told.
Well, I guess also when the energy comes through, that's when it's needed and possibly the strongest as well. I find, I mean, I guess there's moments in life where we're like, okay, I'm not available, let's do it later. But in general, it's kind of like specific to that moment, and that's when it's at its strongest, could you say?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've discovered sometimes to my detriment that when I don't step into an alignment with what they're asking for, um, there are all sorts of flow-on consequences that are not necessarily, I'm then outside of alignment, and it's like, and stuff happens, and it's like, oh, I really didn't like the results of that. So I quite like being in alignment with what I'm being asked to do. It is a great privilege and an honor to work with these beautiful beings. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I just need to get over myself and get into it.
And I guess that's been a process as well, like us all, eh? Just opening more up and surrendering and seeing what, and not in
Yeah,
alignment, what doesn't serve us and what does, and so
yeah,
on.
yeah. I spent the whole of last year working on surrender. One word for the whole year, surrender. And so I spent a lot of time on my knees and working with forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of some of the people in my life and the part they've had to play in my awakening. And yeah, it was really interesting. Surrender's a really big one.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you there. I mean, I have a big journey with surrender as well, and in my astrology, I'm very close to a 0 point entrance, and I'm on the cusp of Leo and Virgo, but I'm strongly Virgo, and my Virgo's doubled because of my close 0 point entrance, which is a Taurus. So that's like a Earth related. And then my rising is, I think it is Pisces. So it's totally about surrender. So I have the dance between the strong Virgo and
Mm.
labels and structure and order and things, and then full surrender. And I notice, when I fully surrender, how much magic happens. It's not that Virgo's a bad thing. It's not all bad. It's
No,
just different.
yeah. And I think that's the dance of life, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's like we dance from the state of being in our human, and I've got my fingers on everything and everything's under control, and then dancing back into the flow and just seeing where it takes you. And um, I think for me, as my life's gone along, that polarity has closed, and that space in the middle, I can stand with a foot. I should be careful what I say now because they're gonna test me out. A foot in either part, and observe all of it and not get drawn into the extremes of the polarities.
Mm. I like
Mm.
when, because a lot of people hear this on audio, but I like when you're describing it and your arm was making an infinity movement. So it was just like a constant ebb and flow where we come in and out of all aspects of ourselves and move in different ways. And I feel that's kind of like an honoring of, yeah, being here in the human body on Earth, as well as all the beautiful cosmos aspects of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean we're here in a body.
Yeah,
We have these amazing spiritual experiences and gifts, and as part of our awakening, but it's like we've got to do it through the body.
yeah,
you know yeah, if we want to ascend, if we want to be a new earth, we have to bring our bodies with us,
hmm
and so that requires a lot of healing on lots
yeah,
of different levels.
hmm
Mm.
yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, for me, ascension happens within the body. People want to
Mhm.
ascend somewhere else, and it's like you're saying, we're here. We chose to be here in this vessel on this planet, and we need to bring the codes through and anchor them into
Yeah,
Gaia. Yeah.
yeah,
So I really resonate with what you're saying.
yeah.
And also with the grandmothers, and you said about the galactic three. Are they your light lineage, or they're not connected with your light lineage, or you're not sure?
I haven't had direct contact with them. I know they're there and I've seen them as a collective, but they haven't started talking to me directly one to one yet. Watch this space.
You just invited them in.
Thanks for that question. Yeah, and it's sort of like I know they're there. I have been working with the Indigenous grandmothers from, I mean, I would have worked closely with my own lineage ones for years, but yeah, we're just sort of expanding into getting to know some of the other grandmothers, but the galactic ones are just sort of hanging around out there, just waiting. Not
Mm.
time yet, and they're going, yeah, you wait, we're coming.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I feel, yeah, that's just your conscious awareness of everything that's happening around you with it, and the way you work. And yeah, but I also love how you're very aware of your words, and you know how powerful words are and what they can create.
Oh, yes, very. Well, when you work with sound, you understand that everything that comes out of your mouth and everything that passes through your mind becomes a vehicle for creation. And so it's like being really mindful about what am I creating here?
And I
And
guess where you're creating it from, maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I've been on this journey all my life, but particularly in the last 30 years. And really that period has been about doing a huge amount of healing for myself, so that I can experience myself as love. And really that's the work that I do with the singing bowls with my healing clients is around bringing our frequency back to one of love. And that doesn't mean it's all roses and fluffies and sweetness and light all the time. Sometimes you got to dig under some rocks and look at the icky stuff and the stuff that you don't want to look at, to be able to transmute it.
And so in that journey, do you bring those parts of you that are a bit more dense or difficult to look at and be with closer to you and embrace them more, and that's how you
Yeah.
shift them? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the energy therapies I work with is Kanika. And so Kanika is a trauma release therapy that um, works with the bones. So, when we experience an emotion because something's happened, our bones will lock that in to our bodies. And so the training we've been doing is around unlocking the trauma, unlocking the belief that comes out of that held emotion, and using breath and holding those bones to release the trauma and to release the limiting beliefs that we create, because we're, these, as children, we're these wonderful meaning making machines. We make meaning out of everything, and that's not wrong. It's just how it is. And so to keep ourselves safe, we do that, and we can release it. And that's been just absolutely huge work for me. And that I can see the denser parts and I can go, wow, yep, I can see the link. I can see where I created that, took that density on created that limiting belief and how that has impacted my relationships and how I be. And I now get to change that if I want. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Very empowering, isn't it?
Oh, totally, totally. And so, you know, I have a much greater acceptance of who I am, and I don't always get it right. None of us do. We're still living this human existence, right? So, but we get to keep coming back. We keep coming back to love and yeah, it's
So
amazing.
your
The
journey's
Kanika,
quite,
sorry.
sorry? Mhm.
The Kanika has really helped me de-armor my heart. So, you know, all the plates of protection that I had put around my heart to keep myself safe, I've actually been able to de-armor a lot of that and open. And I've always had this amazing capacity for holding love. And I am rediscovering that and re-accessing that and opening that up into my work. So
Wow, beautiful. So because the journey with the bones, it's quite new, I would say. You know, it's not that commonly explored, and I have had one or two divine sisters that also work with that as well. And everyone said the same thing. It's huge. You know, it's a really beautiful tool, and it is strongly held in our bones. So I find that fascinating that, you know, because we're always talking about emotions and held in the body, but I've never really related them to being in the bones. But when you say it, it's like, oh, it makes sense because it's a very big part of our foundation or our structure of our human vessel.
yeah. Well, socially, we're not taught to accept our emotions. You know,
No,
they tend to be
especially us
pushed away.
fellas.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we push them away, put them under a rug over there. And of course, you know, if we would just let the emotions flow through in that moment and be responsible for, okay, I'm having a moment and I'm just going to regulate myself. Actually, we don't have to have them stuck in the body. But, you know, we're not taught about emotional regulation. That's not modeled for a lot of us. It's not being modeled for us when we were children. So, yeah, the great thing about Kanika is that you can work it through past lives as well.
Beautiful.
So you can actually work into other timelines. Yeah,
So
alternative.
basically, those past lives are still held in the bones
Yeah,
of your human body in this life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of healing that we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, and so what you feel is if we were shown or taught how to work with emotions more than what we are in everyday life, then it wouldn't get stuck. It wouldn't have anywhere else, any place to sit or put itself. It would just be experienced and expressed and released in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, because the chemical cascade through the body from the brain when an emotion is triggered is actually very brief. It's seconds. But what happens is we block it. And because it's not socially acceptable to be seen in our emotions, we shut it down. And we often dissociate. Oh, look at that over there. We go and do some distraction instead of being with the emotion. I've got a good example for you. After my mother died, my husband and I have a business, and I was working in that business. And about 2 weeks later, I was back at work and catching up on things. And one day this song came on the radio and it reminded me of my mother. So I'm sitting at my desk and I'm just, these floods of tears. And a tradesman walks in, takes one look at me and starts backing out the doorway, going, oh, it's all right, I'll come back later. And I'm like, no, come on. are you okay? I said, yeah, my mother died and I'm sad and it's okay. Then, people kept trying to send me home. My husband would go, you sure you don't want to go home? And it's like, no, I'm grieving and it's okay. And if the people around me can't deal with that, that's not my problem. I'm just being here, letting it go. And yeah, and it was fine.
Yeah, honoring it for what it is.
Yeah, we're allowed to have emotions. We're allowed to feel sad. I wasn't projecting it at anybody else.
No.
I just was letting it be.
Yeah, and I feel that's beautiful what you share, because I feel that's like honoring whatever wants to be expressed in that moment, and that's the beauty of it, and not having a wrongness, or like you say, being distracted, distracting yourself, going doing something else, or I shouldn't do it here, and things like that. And I feel within that, um, well, what I've experienced is when you really honor that, you can almost, well, you can even create joy within yourself, because you're just being true to what needs to be expressed.
Yeah. But we're also not taught how to honor somebody else in their emotional
Mm,
process. We're not shown, when it's not modeled for us that, hey, if you are interacting with someone and we tend to go into fixing mode. We want to fix
yes.
it. We want to make it feel better. We want to, are you okay? And it's like, actually, sometimes all we need is to be witnessed.
Mm,
Sometimes all we need is somebody to say, yeah, I see you're hurting. And
yeah, that
sometimes that's all it
space.
needs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. I feel that's beautiful what you say, because we do have this belief we need to fix things and save, and yeah, go in and turn it into something else instead of letting it be what it is.
Yeah.
And I've found that as well, when you're given space to just be with what is. Also, for people, sometimes, you know, when you do step in, you start creating a dialogue or whatever, some kind of, whereas if you leave them, they can kind of find that themselves, and they actually get the answer that they need within themselves, or the answer that's actually there for them, rather than bringing in what you believe that
Yeah.
person needs.
Yeah, because we can't know what somebody else needs because their experience is unique to them. Their emotions and how they experience them are unique to them. One of the tools that I've worked with for a number of years is the Virtues Project. And, that taught me, that was the beginning of my understanding that actually I don't need to keep rescuing everybody. I don't need to fix everybody because we all have a full complement of these amazing qualities that we can actually solve all our own problems. But sometimes we just need somebody to listen. So, we all have honesty and truth and justice and courtesy and caring and compassion and love and all of these amazing qualities. So if as I feel is true, we all have these qualities in varying capacities, like a whole bunch of cups with, varying levels of each of these qualities, then we actually can solve our own problems. But sometimes we just need some space to be held and listened to.
And when you say about being safe, because I resonate with that we have all these things that we bring in to help us feel safe, but they don't actually serve us, and so we let go of them. So within that, someone might think, well, how would I feel safe if I'm letting go of all these things that help me feel safe? So can you kind of go into that to let us know, how you would feel safe? What then replaces these things that don't serve us, that potentially keep us safe, but they don't keep us safe. But there must be some safety within
The,
letting them go.
the limiting beliefs, I think what happens when we let go of a limiting belief is that we then have the opportunity to not create a limiting belief, but to have an expanded understanding of our capability to move through those situations. So, you know, when you look at the limiting belief and pull it apart, you can acknowledge, yes, that was how that was keeping me safe. However, I'm not 5 anymore. And I have a whole bunch of other strategies and skills in my toolbox that will help me deal with this situation differently.
Yeah.
And the change happens when we're not operating out of an unseen limiting belief anymore. We are operating from our expanded capacity as a grown-up person.
And
Because
within that brings you into a place of feeling safe as well, but it's a different form.
it's as much as I don't like the word empowerment because it's sort of overused, it is a form of empowerment because we are powering ourselves and our capacity to deal with things in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I also find like coming into the heart, the heart for me is like the center of the soul and our true expression. And that's experienced everything. So if we're able to be in that place, then there must be safety within that because we truly know that, but we're not taught those things and we're not, and that's part of what you're talking about, the work that we do with releasing all these things. And we become more in touch with that innate nature within and the heart energy and the love frequency. And of course, it's the safest place you could be.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it creates so much possibility because we're not stuck in those limiting beliefs that we created when we were young people.
Mm.
We expand what we can see ourselves doing and what we can see as being possible in our lives. So, yeah.
And your journey around love, can you share a bit more about that? Because, you said love's a huge part of your journey and you've had a good capacity of holding love and what love is. And yeah, so could you share your perspective of what love is?
So as I see it, basically there are 2 types of emotion. There's fear and there's love. And there are lots of expressions of fear. There's judgment and jealousy and criticism and blame and victimhood and all of those. There's many, many aspects of fear. And there are the same in love. There are many, many qualities that make up love. And of course, so much of the world that we live in is in that fear frequency. And as we do our work, we are and awaken our consciousness, we are shifting our frequency more into that love frequency. And so there was a question I got given by my mentor once, and I sat with this question for over a year. What would love do now? And I just, every time something would be in my face challenging me, what would love do now? Because my human would be having all these fear responses, limited belief-based responses or reactions. And it's like, and what would love do now? And then what would love do now? And what would love do now? And if I see myself as an aspect of love or an expression of divine love, how would I be right now? And, there's a chap called Viktor Frankl, and he was interned in one of the camps in Germany during the Second World War. And he talked about that in between this happening, and my response. There is a space to choose. And at that time, in that place, he made the choice that no matter what they did to him, he was going to be his highest expression. And that's a pretty dark space to be holding that light in. And he actually, I can't think of the name of his book just off the top of my head, but that book just was life-changing for so many people in the aftermath of World War II. So even when the most terrible things happen to us or are done to us, we have space to choose what frequency we're going to hold as we deal with that, and we get to choose how we're going to respond. Are we going to respond, or are we going to react out of our past programs? And so, yeah, my journey has been around shifting myself more and more and more. And it's not something you just decide and it happens. It's a choice every minute of every day to come back to that love. What would love do now? What would love do now? What am I going to do about this? What would love do now? Okay.
And what do you find are your responses when you ask that question?
Sometimes my 3-year-old or my teenager wants to have an absolute hissy fit. And, you know, there are times when, yep, I'm back over here. And I go through a process of forgiveness, because it's like, observing that was not your highest response to that situation. Okay, what do we do about that? Oh, well, I better go and apologize and, you know, forgive myself and do this whole process. So, you know, there are times when my wheels fall off just like everybody else's. And the invitation is to, how do I want to be? Am I coming back into that frequency of love, or am I holding on to, oh, you screwed that up, you did that wrong, all the internal criticism and the blame, all of those things.
And so what would be a response in those situations where you were in the place of love?
I think it shifts things in relationships a whole lot quicker. You know, I've recently had a situation where I had to talk to some people that I love very, very much about their interactions that were starting to impact on me. And, you know, instead of me going in there and waving the big stick around, I went in and spoke vulnerably about what was happening for me in my vulnerability. And said I put a boundary up. I said, I actually don't need to be part of sorting this situation out. You guys can sort this out. You're grown up people. I love you both. And I'm leaving it with you. And I don't need to fix this. Don't need to fix it. Don't need to rescue anybody. And what happened was that they softened. Their response was, oh, actually, okay, I don't need to defend this. Another sort of phrase that I have is, love needs no defense. If you're speaking and interacting from a space of love, you don't need to defend that. You know what it is. Hopefully it lands with them, how you're expressing it and what your intention is. Can't always guarantee that, but so the people involved really softened, and they didn't need to go into defensive mode. Oh, you're telling me what to do, and you're telling me I need to change, and it's shifting some things in their relationship. And it's great for me because I don't need to be involved in fixing it. So love has this amazing capacity to shift people's frequency.
And that's just through being that yourself, eh?
Yeah. And we all can be. We don't have to be perfect. but we all can be love. We can all
Well,
be
what
a
is,
higher expression of it.
I mean, what is perfect? I'm not sure if, is there such a thing?
No, no, there are people who would like to, perfectionism is a trauma response.
Yes.
There's a edgy statement for you. And I know
Yeah,
that
I
helps.
also
I
feel
get
it's
it.
a filter, like it's a reflection of your filter, or I mean, we have incredible coping mechanisms as well. So sometimes we
Mm,
look like we're acting in a certain way, whereas actually we're not. We're just coping, we're actually asking for help, but not using those words.
yeah, 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 definitely.
Yeah. And
Mm,
so then being in that frequency of love, you can support that. And because I feel what you're what you're um, saying here is you can respond from that place. So you can feel the field, you can feel the energetics of where that person is, and where you are yourself as well. And then I feel that's like dropping into the heart, and
mm,
then yeah, responding from that place. Or maybe, as we said earlier, there isn't a need for a response. It's just to stay present with that. I
yeah,
have been with someone, and I think they talked with me for 15 or 20 minutes, and I didn't even bat an eyelid. I just felt myself drop into my heart, and just this beautiful column of light, and I just stayed there, and I
mm,
didn't go or anything, nothing.
yeah,
And then afterwards there was a pause, and then they broke and started crying and crying, and then we went into a whole different journey, and it was a big massive healing journey, and it was beautiful to observe that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome work. Celebrating you. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's like you say, it's a journey. Thank you. But yeah, it is a journey, isn't it? And I feel we've come to Earth to experience. So when we just be open, and I come back to that again and feel, because I'm a very feely person as well, and I just find if you feel into what is for the highest of this person or this situation, and just have an openness, then that comes through you, and if you're able to listen and sit with it, then that can happen, and it just plays out in a more supportive way. And sometimes there can be some, I don't know, you can talk quite directly, let's say, to someone, and that's for their highest, and that comes from a place of love as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. It's all about the intention that we hold. And if we're holding a frequency of love, it certainly lands in a different place. And who you're talking to and your relationship with them, of course. There's a
Yeah.
lovely quote by a guy called Douglas Steen, and I'm paraphrasing, but it says something like, to listen another's soul into a state of discovery and disclosure is almost the greatest service one soul can offer another.
Yeah,
You know,
beautiful.
to give them the space to be able to unburden themselves.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, when you're in groups, you see how some of us are very outspoken and some others are very withdrawn. And so I would say when you're in a state of trauma or whatever, the way you respond to even someone assisting you can be delayed or very responsive immediately. Like I even find sometimes I go to eat something, someone says, try this. And I've put the spoon in my mouth, and they're like, how is it? And I'm like, hang on. I need to put it in my mouth and feel it, and then swallow it, and feel how it is in my body. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Want an instant response.
Yeah. And other people would be, as soon as they touched it in their mouth, they would know how it tastes.
Yeah,
That's the,
sometimes, yeah, some space to process is quite good.
yeah, I find that.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're all different, and I guess that's also that resonance. There's so many forms of healing modalities and therapies and everything, and finding that resonance, finding the person that speaks the language that you can hear and things like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I always get the image of a library. You know, there are so many different forms of healing out there now. And I've had people say to me, oh, you know, there's too many. And it's like, no, there are lots more coming, because we're all so unique that we are all in the process of finding the thing that is perfect for us, or the many things that we need that are perfect for us. And it's like going into a library. You know, in the spirituality section, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of books on the same sorts of topics, but all, and some of them are quite similar, but all expressed in a slightly different frequency. So, you know, same with healing modalities.
Yeah, and I feel that's very true what you say. I think it's lovely because we all are a unique expression, and even within a certain experience, maybe there's two of you in a group and someone says this happened to me when I was 10 and I'm the youngest child, and they go, yeah, same for me, same for me, and this and very similar. But when you get into really sharing about it, it's unique to each one still, because
Sure
you're
is.
so much more than just that within
Mm,
it. Yeah.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. So do you work with groups, or are you more just one to one?
Um, all of the above, yes. Yes, I have worked with groups doing sound baths, and particularly in retreat spaces. Um, I work one-to-one if that's what people are requiring. And I think that's the amazing thing when you're holding a sound bath. Um, everybody is hearing the same thing, but they're all having their own unique response to that, to those sounds. You know, and what happens with sound healing is that it actually isn't just your ears that hear it. There are all the little nerves under the skin. The whole of the skin is actually like a giant ear. It receives sound, and we receive frequency through those nerves. It travels, the sound travels, and it actually travels as light through the nerves and into the structures of the body. And so everybody will have their own unique response to those sounds. That's really quite incredible.
It is, yeah, it is. I feel we all carry our own sound as well, eh? It's an
Oh,
expression.
totally. Yeah. That's one of the courses I've run this year was around um, finding and exploring your own inner voice and your own inner sound, and allowing the opening up of the expression of that. And yeah, that was really cool.
It's beautiful. And do you feel um, we come with a sound, and that's our sound frequency for our whole journey, our whole life, or does that change as our frequency changes?
I think it can change when our frequency changes. It's sort of like every time we get it, we, you know, do some work and we get an upgrade, that sound can change. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think there is a frequency that our oversoul or our higher self holds, that is constant, but in
Hmm.
our human body, that sound expression can change.
So do you feel that one that is constant, it requires us to be in a certain place on our journey at a certain frequency to access it? So it's always there, but we're not always able to access it.
Aligned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about alignment. Yeah. And of course, the more love that you're holding, the more light you're holding in your body, the easier that alignment is. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just easier.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, because you've removed a lot of densities from your body, and the
Yeah.
beliefs and all that. So you open yourself, and your channel becomes clearer, and
Mm.
the veil becomes thinner, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and more parts of
Definitely.
you are able to be embodied.
Mm. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
It's an amazing
beautiful.
process.
I feel we're such amazing beings, and it'd be awesome if we all knew how amazing we are, and even my awareness of how amazing I am is still quite limited to truly how amazing I am, and we all are, I feel.
Yeah. And I think that's the amazing thing about, being in groups where there are people who are doing similar sort of work and are open to sharing with you. They will often have a clearer picture of who you are than you do. I've had that experience myself recently, at the Kanika immersion. One of the other teachers saw me outside talking to somebody, and I was coaching this beautiful young woman through something that she was really struggling with, and it was only a 3-minute conversation, I think. But when I went inside, this other young woman said to me, "Whoa," she said, "I could see the love codes coming up from your heart and out from your throat and landing in this other woman's heart." And the way she described it, all of a sudden I could see it. It was like, "Oh, that's amazing. I do that." And it landed in such a different place. It was like, wow, yeah, I do that. And I've been doing it for years. I just hadn't been aware that that's what I was doing when I speak to somebody like that, just those intimate, deep conversations have the capacity to change so much for ourselves and for other people. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I find that is so helpful, even you have some awareness, and you know it very clearly, but then when someone else says it, it just takes it deeper into yourself. I think
Yeah.
that's, yeah,
Part of
it's
that embodiment process,
yes,
being able to receive ourselves through how other people see us.
yeah, yeah, and it is fascinating how people can see things that you can't see yourself. I also experienced that. I thought, wow, okay, cool. And then you, like you say, you feel into it and you go, oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, I have. I am like that, or yeah, I do that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But without that conversation, you may not come to that place, because I find we trick ourselves, or we
Oh,
have all sorts of things, We like
yes.
to, I mean, I know when we're earlier on our journey, or, living in a very human, mind-driven life, we'll just lie to ourselves constantly.
Well, we keep ourselves small.
Mm.
And, I had a really amazingly powerful habit of minimizing. Anytime somebody would share with me, "Oh, you did that and that was amazing," I would just instantly dismiss it and minimize. And I wouldn't let it land. I wouldn't receive it. So it took me a few years to actually be able to go, "Oh, thank you." And then, "Oh, wow, thank you," and celebrate myself and allow that to become embodied. And it's still sometimes a work in progress. I had this phrase, "I just do what I do." And that was my way of pushing it away, So it's taken me a while, but yeah,
Yeah, it's good that you share that, because I feel that is a big journey for many of us, is that whole receiving ourselves, and
yeah.
receiving compliments and all of it, just receiving in general.
Yeah, and celebrating ourselves because we're bloody amazing. We totally are.
Have a wee party every day for ourselves. Take a space.
I absolutely agree. Yes,
Yeah,
because
for
let's
sure.
face it, there's so much criticism out there and so much of the other stuff. And
Mm,
yes, we need to celebrate ourselves.
yeah,
And not just to ourselves, but with people who matter to us. And that's something that's fairly new for me just this year, is actually being able to share with my husband, "Oh, I did this today, I'll tell him tonight, I was on a podcast today." Now, 2 years ago, I would never have shared any of that with him. And yeah, so it's like celebrating the things the amazing things we get to do and be
Yeah,
and have.
yeah, nice. Yeah. I also say to people, when you have an intuitive nudge, but you don't follow it, it's to still just acknowledge that you had that intuition, if instead of
Mm,
going, oh, I didn't listen, so I had this situation or whatever, it's just like pull it back, just go back and to go, well, you knew, you had a feeling, it was there. So just acknowledge that, celebrate that, because you feed it, you start to feed it and it makes it more accessible and easier to catch when it does come again.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
strengthens that connection. Mm.
Yeah, we can. It's really quite simple, really, but we love to make it complicated.
Oh yes, definitely.
Human characters. Yeah,
We
but
sure
it's
are.
also again, it's just like, oh, well, just laugh about it, just turn
Yeah.
that into a fun thing. Oh, whoa, even the mind's busy. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Wow, I wonder where that come from. Have some play with it, have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it
Mhm.
doesn't all have to be so jolly serious.
No. Well, we are, we are that curious, playful child. That's our nature, no matter our age, I believe.
Yeah, and for me, that journey back into love has really helped bring a whole lot more playfulness, a whole lot more pleasure, just in terms of the enjoyment of life and living. And I certainly don't feel my age. Um, and in the last sort of 18 months, I've sort of made it a habit of want to go and try something new. So, let's go 10 pin bowling with the kids, or, our kids are now adults. Um, let's go play mini golf with some young people. Let's go, what's down there? Let's go explore that. So
Mm,
it's, and as a result, what is happening is that more and more opportunities for expansion, for new experiences are arriving all the time. So yeah, it's really exciting.
that's beautiful. Yeah, because you've just opened yourself to that. It feels like you're just, okay, it looks like a very everyday life thing. Let's go 10-pin bowling, let's go mini golfing. That you're actually saying, well, let's explore this. Wonder what that'll be like. So yeah, the universe responds to that, eh? And then other
Yeah.
things on a deeper level come into your life.
Well, yeah, and it's the laughter thing. I mean, we spend most of the time laughing at how abysmal my golfing skills are, or my bowling skills, because I've got 3 left feet, and yeah. So, but it's just, and life was actually meant to be fun. It wasn't all supposed to be work.
No, I mean, the spiritual journey can get quite serious, especially at certain parts of it. I find like we get a bit, and it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. Not, it's actually
Yeah,
not meant to be like that. And
yeah.
even spirituality, we give it this label and it's this thing, and it's like, no, just even drop that. Just be who you are, and enjoy you, and be expressive, be curious, be
Mm,
playful,
yeah,
bring joy into your life. Yeah. Be
totally.
present. Those simple things, they're all our innate nature, and everything else just happens around that.
Mm. Well, it can do if we let it.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're in that place, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Or was there anything you'd like to share with the audience before we finish up?
Okay. Would you like a bowl?
Sure.
Okay.
It's not a salad bowl, though, is
Oh, no, don't you do that.
it?
That's my husband's joke. They were pretty expensive salad bowls, Larnie.
Mm,
So this beautiful bowl is a beautiful orange color for those of you that are listening and not seeing, and it is a sunstone platinum. So this is resonating. It's an A sharp, which is the pineal and the pituitary, and this is also linked to solar plexus. So here we go. Yaratu
Beautiful.
little sound code.
Yeah,
So
very nice. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I felt, yeah, it was very, I felt very earthly as well as a real galactic resonance in it as well. I found that quite fascinating. Yeah.
Just a little wee sound code.
Yeah. Well, they're all good. Little, we can start with little steps on our journey wherever we are, and they turn into, yeah, whatever they turn into.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well,
And
thank you.
there's so
Appreciate
much
that.
noise out there. And sometimes the noise is good. But yeah, this is a different quality of sound. So
Mm. Hmm. Yeah,
hmm.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, they're quite amazing, those bowls that you have. What people make nowadays and the resonance and, yeah, the different materials they make them from to bring in the frequencies is, yeah, quite something.
Yeah, they certainly hold a really deep affecting frequency. So yeah.
Yeah, and sharing your voice. So your unique voice that we got to experience.
I wasn't expecting that to happen, but yeah,
Well, there's a good message in itself, isn't it?
let it come through.
Oh, well, lovely. Thank you for coming on and sharing your love light with us all. Really
Oh,
appreciate that.
thank you so much for having me. It's been so lovely to talk to you, and I hope that some of what we've talked about is helpful for the people listening or watching. And sending you so much love, and to all of you out there in the world, only love.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to send you some more love. So much love. See you next time.